Sure thing, I'll get out of your way. You wouldn't happen to have a better pen, can you? And then, I got this.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight's ceremony will begin in just a few minutes. So please, as a courtesy to your neighbors around you and to our graduates, please make sure your mobile devices are silenced at this time. Again, tonight's ceremony will begin in just a few minutes. Please make sure your mobile devices are silenced. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to these 128th commencement exercises in the 141st year of MMI Preparatory School. These exercises will be a little different. Our students will wear masks when they come to the podium and when they are moving or processing. Otherwise, they won't be wearing masks. They are seated 6 feet apart so they can have their masks off during the ceremony. So they can take off their masks right now. When anyone comes to the podium, they will sanitize their hands, and we will ask audience members to wear their masks at all times. We will begin tonight's program by honoring our country. Please rise and join the class of 2020 in pledging allegiance to the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Normally, we would all sing the national anthem. But tonight, I would ask you to direct your attention to the stage as class of 2020 member Catherine Havilla sings for us the national anthem. Thank you, Catherine. That was beautiful and from an appropriate social distance. Please be seated. On behalf of the faculty, staff, administration, and board of directors, I extend a warm welcome to the parents and families of the members of class of 2020. We are pleased to have you with us this evening. Additionally, we are streaming these proceedings online to those who are not able to be with us physically to share in the moment. I would like to recognize the board of directors, most of whom are watching from home, for the extraordinary contributions they make to the school. These dedicated volunteers work tirelessly to ensure MMI's success, and we are grateful for their continuing efforts on behalf of students at MMI. It takes an exceptional staff and faculty to inspire, guide, nurture, and bring these young people to the heights of academic and athletic, extracurricular, and personal excellence that might otherwise elude them under lesser circumstances. I would ask that the faculty and staff of MMI stand and be recognized. So again, welcome to the 128th consecutive MMI commencement. At the start of the year, the most impressive part of that last statement would have been that this is the 128th commencement. MMI has conducted commencement exercises since 1892. After all, not many independent schools in America have such a long and proud tradition. So the historian in me would have said 128 is an impressive number. Today, I would tell you that the most impressive word is consecutive. MMI commencements have prevailed over 2 world wars, numerous economic recessions, a fire the day of graduation, a pandemic in 1918, and another pandemic this year. Today's ceremony is not only an important point in your lives, but a historic one for MMI. Many other schools eliminated or significantly modified their commencement exercises, but here we are as your class keeps a tradition alive. So let that sink in, that this is a historic occasion. Honestly, I think it will be helpful to remember this with the copious amounts of hand sanitizer, wipes, and social distancing that might distract you today. Let us mark this day with celebration and congratulations for all that you have accomplished in your time at MMI. I may have arrived here for the last year of your journey, but that was long enough for me to get to know you. You impressed me all this year with how you connected as a group. The care you showed for one another resonated with your fellow students and teachers. Your presence was always felt, whether here on campus or later online. We know you missed some important milestones during your senior year. However, let's focus on what did happen rather than what did not happen. To help stir those memories, let's look at just some of what you achieved here at MMI. Your hard work earned $7.6 million in scholarships to date. 20 of you represented Prepper Nation on the athletic fields and courts. 17 of you competed in FBLA on the state and national level. Nearly half of you helped put on the fall play and spring musical during your time at MMI. Many of you represented MMI, whether it was at Poetry Out Loud, Envirothon, PJAS, state math contests, and more, and you did it exceptionally well. All 28 of you stood as examples with your dedication to community service. This is all just to name a few of the notable accomplishments of the class of 2020. More importantly, each of you passed the test of an MMI education. Sometimes we get mired down in the course requirements, extracurricular activities, and the college process. An MMI education is much more than that. An MMI education prepares you for life. Your teachers have guided you with the simple wisdom that will help you on your journey. For example, Mr. Casick reminds you that when you get stuck on a math problem, that math is really just counting. Mrs. Ferry always kept you centered with a positive outlook as she greeted you with a happy Monday when you came to school each week. Those are just a few, and I could come up with an example for every member of the faculty staff here at MMI. Some special parts of our program, like the assemblies, helped you master the art of public speaking. However, you also mastered the small things. I watched many members of the class of 2020 figure out the exact number of minutes it takes to get from the parking lot, through the courtyard, down the hallway, to sit at their desks right when the first period bell rings, thus arriving to school as late as humanly possible without getting a tardy. There will be problems small and large to solve in the future, and you are ready. What I've learned in my first year here is that MMI helps to shape a mindset. Through the unique MMI experience, you have learned that challenges are really just opportunities. Keeping that positive outlook will be so helpful for the world that awaits you. Take your empathy and open hearts with you into the world and treat people fairly and honestly. The world needs citizens who will make a difference in the community and bring joy to as many as they can. Follow the golden rule and treat others as you would have them treat you. In May, I asked you to think of one special goal. I hope that you did. Keep that as your motivation to change the world, or at least your corner of it. Inspire others, be engaged, active, and informed citizens who care about the local community and beyond. You have been taught the skills to succeed and have the MMI network of support to help. We are always here for you. No one can do it alone, so remember that you have each other and all of us. In the future, I look forward to, along with the faculty and staff, your return here as you share the triumphs and the tough times. This brick building will always be your school, wherever you go in life. Class of 2020, we salute you. Now we have a last-minute change in the program. A short time ago, incoming board chair Mr. Llewellyn-Dreyfus III informed us that he's very sorry, but for personal reasons, he is unable to be with us here this evening. I'll read his prepared remarks, but first, I would like to say a few words about Mr. Dreyfus. Mr. Llewellyn-Dreyfus III graduated from MMI in 1982. Following his graduation from West Point in 1986, he rose to the rank of captain in the U.S. Army. He has remained closely connected to MMI throughout his adult life. Mr. Dreyfus has served on the board of directors during each of the last 3 decades. All 3 of his children graduated from MMI. In 2016, he was inducted into the MMI Wall of Fame for service to the community. This year, Mr. Dreyfus returns to the position of board chair after serving terms from 2000 to 2003 and 2010 to 2012. And now I'm going to read from Mr. Dreyfus's prepared remarks. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. What a gift it is for all of us to come together and celebrate the achievements of MMI Class of 2020. My role this evening is to welcome all of you on behalf of the MMI Board of Directors. Wait a minute, some of you are likely thinking, isn't Mr. John Husker the chair of the MMI Board? This is where you remember that I'm Justin Kleinheider and not Mr. Dreyfus, but I'm reading his comments. Well, MMI bylaws for the management of the school limit terms of board chairs to 3 years, and Mr. Husker completed his term last week to 3 years on June 30th. So I am here officially representing the board tonight at these proceedings. Mr. Husker was the chair on the date of your official graduation, which was May 28th. And it is his signature that you will see on your diplomas, and you will be hearing from him shortly. So today, on the 7th day into my term as board chair, I bring greetings from the members of the MMI Board of Directors. MMI's Board of Directors, both past and present, have more than 140 years steered MMI to this point in time. The board provides the strategic direction of the school and takes care to ensure that MMI will continue to be here for future generations. This talented and dedicated all-volunteer board works very hard to keep MMI true to its mission, picks effective leadership for the school, and provides vision for the school's future. I'll give you a good example of a board decision benefiting future students and families. During the planning for the construction of the building we are sitting in this evening, there was a difficult decision as to whether to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to air condition the new gym. After all, the only time you might need air conditioning is at graduation, right? And that's always in May. While the board's dedication and service over the decades and through many ups and downs have been a constant source of strength to MMI, in no other time has it been exceeded by the performance over the last few months of the COVID-19 pandemic. MMI's talented board members have contributed unprecedented time, research, and thought to assist Mr. Kleinheider, the faculty and staff, in serving our students and their families through this difficult time. I mentioned that the board is all volunteer and is unpaid. I have often thought over the years that the payment to board members comes by way of attending the annual commencement. It's in some ways the only payback for all the board's dedication. But for me, as I consider being at commencement as a director and seeing all our wonderful graduates is payment in full. Well, you may have noticed that other than Mr. Husker and myself, there are no board members here this evening. Being mindful of the building size limitation for social distancing, the other board members, each individually, decided to give up their seats tonight so that more of your family members could attend this evening's commencement. This step rightfully acknowledges the important place our students, parents, and families occupy in this evening's event. Well, tonight we will hear words of congratulations for our graduates and appreciation for all those members of the MMI community who have helped them along the way. The board recognizes the parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, and other family members of tonight's graduates. Their interest in education and the sacrifices they have made to send their sons and daughters here cannot be minimized. Parents offer strength and encouragement to their children throughout their MMI experience. They serve as volunteers, they support our campaigns, fundraisers, and social events, and they provide critical feedback about the quality of our program. All of us can work to provide a great school, but until the parents and guardians make this commitment to send their son or daughter to MMI, nothing happens. MMI Class of 2020, please accept our most hearty congratulations on a job very well done. We are here this evening to celebrate with you this great accomplishment and to give you our best wishes for nothing but tremendous success in the future as you head off into the world. It is now my pleasure to introduce Mr. John Husker, MMI Class of 1976, and immediate past chairman of the MMI Board of Directors. Mr. Husker's family previously owned, and he worked at and lived next to, the historic Husker Theater, located in West Hazleton. The theater was founded in 1915. Mr. Husker believes in the power of cinema and using relevant films to teach young people about important life lessons. He has built his very successful career on his love of movies. Mr. Husker was formerly Executive Vice President of Distribution for Paramount Pictures in Hollywood, California, a company where he worked for 27 years. After Paramount, he served as President and Chief Executive Officer of Movie Tavern, a national chain of theaters headquartered in Dallas, Texas. After the sale of the company in 2013, Mr. Husker decided to move back to northeastern Pennsylvania. Mr. Husker's most current venture is Flashback Cinema, a program he developed that celebrates classic movies on the big screen. Theater operators around the country participate in the program, which offers wonderful classic movies each week. In addition to his work at MMI, Mr. Husker serves on the board of directors at the F.M. Kirby Center and is the vice chair of the board of directors at the Bryn Mawr Film Institute. I cannot think of anyone more committed to MMI students than Mr. Husker. He served as the 2011 MMI commencement speaker and has established 2 separate scholarship programs. He has generously supported numerous MMI programs and special events that have enhanced the experience of our students. He has served for many years on the board of directors, chaired the head of school search committee, the governance committee, and served as vice chairman and chairman. There are very few individuals who have served so well for MMI or whose talents or commitment have better benefited our students. It is with great pleasure that I turn the podium to my friend, Mr. John Husker, MMI class of 1976.
Thank you, Mr. Kleinheider. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and good evening, class of 2020. I want to begin by thanking my friend, Mr. Dreyfus, for his prepared introduction, expertly read by Mr. Kleinheider. I know how badly he wanted to be with us this evening, but his absence was unavoidable. But you may be sure he is with us in spirit. As Mr. Kleinheider explained, Mr. Dreyfus has a long record of service to our school and community and to our country, having defended our freedom in foreign lands. In these ways, he has served and continues to serve as an example for us all. We are fortunate to have his wise counsel and his long institutional memory, and I think that story about the air conditioning for the gym is a great example of his institutional memory. We are grateful he's once again answered the call to lead the board. Graduates, congratulations. You finally made it. For what now seems like forever, all of us have looked forward to this night, even though we wondered when and if it would ever come. This event marks the fitting culmination of an extraordinary year. Indeed, the very timing of the ceremony is without precedent. Yours is the first class to hold its commencement in the middle of summer vacation. Thank you for dressing up. Y'all look great. Don't they look great? What is not unique, however, indeed what has been true for every class that has preceded you, is that you did not make it this far alone. Mr. Dreyfus, in his prepared remarks, paid tribute to your families who made this night possible. Let's take a moment to recognize some of the other people who helped and supported you in your life's journey up to this point. And tonight, celebrate your success. Of course, none of us would be here in this place because this place would not exist were it not for MMI's founders and benefactors, Eckley and Sophia Cox. These 2 remarkable individuals established and nurtured this institution, which has evolved from a night school for coal miners into a world-class preparatory school. Eckley Cox, the successful industrialist and inventor, and his wife, Sophia Cox, dubbed the Angel of the Anthracite for her humanitarian enterprises, together set a shining example for their community and for future generations. The philanthropic spirit of the Coxes lives on in the many modern benefactors of MMI, some of whom are memorialized in the parts of the MMI campus that they made possible. They serve as a reminder of the countless donors whose gifts, large and small, sustain the school's mission to provide a quality education to all who meet our standards, regardless of ability to pay. Indeed, the substantial need-based financial aid that MMI provides would not be possible without our generous donors, and we are very thankful for those donors. We are also thankful for MMI's staff and faculty, who are in the back there, who strive daily to make this school better and who have a personal stake in the success of each student. Class of 2020, No doubt you already understand the benefit of having great teachers who inspire you and challenge you to learn. You have seen the concern for your welfare that is demonstrated daily by our conscientious staff. It is likely that in the years to come, the impact they have had on your lives will loom even larger in your minds. You will want to thank them again, but let's start by thanking them now. Class of 2020, you are the first class to graduate with Mr. Justin Kleinheider as your head of school. A little over a year ago, the board of directors were excited to announce that Mr. Kleinheider would be taking the reins as MMI's new leader. We saw him as someone who valued our traditions and at the same time would innovate and improve in a thoughtful and careful manner. We also believed he had the necessary character and judgment to meet the unexpected challenges which leaders inevitably face. Boy, did that last one turn out to be especially important. None of us, including Mr. Kleinheider, could have anticipated the year we have had, the year you have had. At a recent board meeting, I made the comment that in his first year on the job, our new head of school has gained the equivalent of 5 years of experience. A fellow board member corrected me. No, he said, more like 10 years of experience. In the face of a pandemic that turned our world upside down, and which took a personal toll in the loss of his own father, Mr. Kleinheider never faltered or failed in his duty to the school. Thank you, Mr. Kleinheider, for rising to the occasion and providing calm, thoughtful, and innovative leadership just when we needed it most. It has been a challenging experience for all of us, and you, class of 2020, have had a senior year that you will remember all of your lives. No doubt this experience has given you a new perspective. Perhaps your response to this unexpected dose of adversity has increased your confidence in your ability to adapt to change. Presidential historian Doris Kearns Goodwin has a term for the times in a person's life when an unexpected adversity tests and molds character. She calls them crucible experiences. Now, dictionary.com defines the word crucible as meaning literally a heat-resistant container used to melt metals, and figuratively, a severe test or trial. In her book, Leadership in Turbulent Times, Doris Kearns Goodwin describes a crucible experience that was faced by our 26th president, Theodore Roosevelt. Roosevelt was 25 years old when his wife, Alice, died shortly after giving birth to their first child. Her death came just 11 hours after the death of Theodore Roosevelt's mother. The loss of his wife and his mother on the same day was devastating to Roosevelt. In the face of this tragedy, this highly self-confident young man found his belief in his ability to control events badly shaken. He retreated from politics for a time, taking up cattle ranching in the Badlands of what was then the Dakota Territory. 2 years later, he returned to public service, but with a different attitude towards his chosen career. Listen to Doris Kearns Goodwin describe how this crucible experience changed Roosevelt. Roosevelt's expectation, she writes, expectation and belief in a smooth upward trajectory, either in life or politics, was gone forever. He now saw his life as a succession of crucibles, good or bad, able to crush or elevate. So he would jettison long-term career calculations and focus simply on whatever job opportunity came his way, assuming it might be his last. Now, please don't misunderstand. Doris Kearns Goodwin is not saying that in the aftermath of personal tragedy, Theodore Roosevelt drifted aimlessly with no thought for the future. Quite the contrary. He approached every job, every challenge, with a renewed sense of purpose, intensified by the knowledge that life might throw him another curve at any moment. He made the most of every opportunity, and he eventually became one of our most consequential presidents. The point here is not to settle for less. The point is to make the most of what you have, especially in times of adversity. Theodore Roosevelt himself summed it up with these words: do what you can with what you have where you are. How will you, members of the class of 2020, use the crucible experiences of your lives? Will you be crushed or elevated by them? Will you be discouraged by setbacks, or will you rise above them, be strengthened by them, and find the opportunities that come wrapped in the challenges you face? One piece of advice that I offer, not to you as a class, but to each of you as one of 28 unique individuals. As you confront challenges in crucible moments and in your daily life, do more than just acquire knowledge. Seek truth. Strive to attain the wisdom that comes from critically thinking for yourself. Avoid groupthink. Avoid groupthink. Learn all you can from others, present and past, but decide for yourself what is right, even when that decision places you at odds with passing trends. But for now, I urge you to savor this moment. You have labored long and hard and grown in the years you have been here. Grown physically, intellectually, and emotionally. Each of you has earned through your own individual accomplishments the honor of being an MMI graduate. Members of the class of 2020, this is your time. Your families and MMI have prepared you for this moment. But what happens next, and this is the really exciting part, what happens next is up to you. The world is open to you. Dream big, work hard, do good, and embrace your crucible moments, always remembering that circumstances are less important than the attitude you bring to them. Congratulations and good luck, and may God bless you in every stage of your journey. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Husker. Reverend Lawrence Berger completed his 30th year of teaching at MMI this year and has been pastor at the St. Michael's Orthodox Church in Freeland since 1986. His daughters Laura and Lisa graduated from MMI in 2000 and 2004. Reverend Berger has been an integral part of the baccalaureate ceremony, and we wanted him to be a part of today's ceremony. When I asked him to speak today, he immediately agreed, despite recovering from 3 surgeries this year alone. He loves MMI. When I speak with alumni and students, they always mention affectionately his sage wisdom, love of fishing, and his big heart. I would now like to welcome Rev Berger to the stage to reflect on the class of 2020.
Graduates, family, and friends of MMI, good evening. I'd like to thank Mr. Kleinheider and the board for this opportunity to address you one more time and pass on, hopefully, some things that will be useful in days to come. Starost nie radost, młodość nie wieczność. It's not Latin, it's Russian. My grandfather taught that phrase to me, that parable to me, 60 years ago. It means old age is no joy, but youth does not last forever. I was a little, at 7 years old, a little dubious about the whole thing, didn't think much about it, but I can tell you, status nerealus, old age is no joy. One of the questions students have asked me over the years in looking at ancient society, ancient Greece, ancient Rome, even through the Middle Ages, is why there was so little technological progress made through all the centuries before us until we get to about the 18th, the Renaissance, the 18th, 19th, 20th centuries, Industrial Revolution, technological leaps that we're amazed by even still today every day. And students would often ask, why did it take so long for science and technology to develop, as opposed to hundreds, thousands of years that history went on before with very little technological change? The reason is very simple. In the ancient world and through the Middle Ages, people ultimately were concerned with the search for wisdom, with a search for a philosophy of life, with a search for those axioms, those truths that, if observed, would govern our lives successfully and bring us through our problems and help us give thanks when we encountered joys. That kind of thinking and that goal didn't really need any technology. And it's at this time you see the great religions in the world arising: Judaism, Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, all concerned with seeking those truths to govern our lives by. And it's almost amazing for us to look back and think about it, but 200 years before Christ in the city of Alexandria, they had a working steam engine. They used it as a toy. They didn't really think any practical purpose, and beside that, it would put people out of work. And they did try to maintain some evidence of that in society, some sort of social system. As time changed, and the thing that really changed it was the way we look at life itself. In the ancient world and the Middle Ages, we had a society that was based on parable. Parables are the stories and the traditions that we hand down that convey to us some eternal truth, some eternal absolute. As a result of the scientific age, and really as a result of Charles Darwin, you all know him from the theory of evolution, other people took Darwin's theories and applied them to other things. So we had Karl Marx applied Darwin to economics, and we got Marxism and communism. Friedrich Nietzsche, the German philosopher, applied Darwin to the human condition, to the human being. And we came out with Nietzsche and Hitler. Parable, the idea that there is an eternal truth, that there's an absolute that can't be changed, now dissolved. That idea was gone in the face of evolution. And replacing it is mythology. Mythology is the attempt to surround ourselves with what we believe are our absolutes, to the exclusion often of everyone else's. And some people will even argue the point that there are no absolutes. There are no absolutes. There is no absolute truth. But you counter that every time you turn your computer on or you turn your cell phone on and you got that little circle with a line, right, on and off, 0 and 1. Mathematics tells us the number 1 and the 0, they're absolutes. Mathematics always serves as the handmaid of truth. As society moves on, we're moving now, and this outbreak has only illustrated how fragile not only our society here is in the United States, but the world society is. How fragile the idea that there is an eternal truth, that there is an absolute that has to be followed, is in trouble. People have abandoned that idea, and instead, and I'll just to use Hitler as the example, one of the first things that he did was to dispatch people around the world trying to investigate mythologies, trying to surround himself and give his views and those of the Nazi Party some sort of credence in history and in human culture. He went on a very extensive search for that sort of thing. We're in a society today where parable is becoming discounted, and instead we're told to follow your myth, follow your own devices. We have to, as we go forward, and especially you graduates, the world is coming into a very difficult time right now. You will all of us, and especially those of you who are younger, will be called upon to give and to do things that we may not even be able to imagine at this point. You have to remember that there is an absolute. You have to remember that there is an eternal truth, and that otherwise the progression is to nothing, nihilism. That's what we see in society today. Destroy the past, destroy what was before, and we'll create something new. It goes all the way back to the Garden of Eden. You shall be as gods. You will be like God. We try to place ourselves in the position of God, the giver of absolute. We try to take his role over. Struggle to stay faithful to the things that you have learned and the things that you have accomplished here. We always look upon graduation as an end, and it is an end, but it's not the end. I go back to Winston Churchill was asked at the end of the air war over England in 1940, if it was the beginning of the end. He said, I don't think it's the beginning of the end. He said, but it could be the end of the beginning. Graduation is the end of the beginning. The next 12 years in your life, between 18 and 30, for most of us, are very, very important. Those are the formative years. Those are the years that we're going to wake up at 30 and say, thank God, another day. Or wake up at 30 and say, oh God, another day. You want to be in the first one, not the second. I've been in both. Trust me, the first one's a lot better. As you go forward from here this evening, take that truth with you. All those things you found here, all those things that spoke to you, all those things that inspired and fueled your dreams and desires. When you choose your field of education, don't look at how much money you make. Money can make life easier. It can never make it better. It can never make it better. It can make it easier, but not better. Choose to find a vocation. That's the real secret of MMI, is that in the 30 years I worked here, and I've taught in other places too, and had other positions beside in the administration of our diocese too. One of the things that makes MMI really work is the people who work here don't see this as a job. They see it as a vocation. Teaching is a calling. That's important. The people who work here are not simply coming in, punching a clock, and punching out at the end of the day. They're involved in students. They're passionate about what they teach, and they're willing to share that passion freely and openly with all who seek it from them. That's the real secret of MMI. That's why it's been successful. That's why the alumni from MMI are generally in the world successful. And we have such a good organization, such a family atmosphere here. It is a family. It's a family of people working, caring for each other, not just doing a job. When Sir Isaac Newton became to be noticed in society, the physicist, he said, if I have seen farther than other men, it's because I've stood on the shoulders of giants. And I want to tell all of you who are graduates tonight, you have stood on the shoulders of giants. On one side, your parents, your family, who loved you enough to make sure that you came here, to love you enough to take care of you, to love you enough to show right and wrong. There's lots of people in the world today that don't have that. And prisons and rehab centers and all kinds of places are filled with them. Some of the stories almost inconceivable to believe from what we've all grown up with. Thank your parents and your family. Love them, work with them, support them. The other side of those giants, the other shoulder, are the people, as I say, who teach here at MMI. Thank them. And be generous when success knocks at your door. Remember, this is where it began. And give back in any way you can to the school. Finally, I'd like to say to all of you, pursue your dreams, but don't let your dreams become your master. Pursue your passion. And go after it, chase it, even if you don't know right now what it might look like, it's out there waiting for you. Try different things. When you find that passion, run with it. Make it your life. Make yourself expert in everything about it and be willing to share it with others. I ask God to bless all of you and your families and our MMI school here as it goes on into the future and into this century. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you, Rev, not just for your words, but for your passion for the last 30 years. We really appreciate it here at MMI. A wonderful and unique tradition at MMI that represents each class's identity is the class banner. The 2020 class banner is displayed behind me. The banner designer, Macy Zahner, daughter of Ted and Judy Zahner of Cunningham, will now come to the podium and explain how her design represents the class of 2020.
Good evening, Mr. Kleinheider, Mr. Husker, Mr. Vincent, Reverend Berriger, faculty and staff, parents, family and friends, and my fellow graduates. My name is Macy Zahner, and I have been at MMI since I was in 6th grade. I grew up with an enormous amount of anticipation towards 2020, since I had seen so many graduating classes before me come and go. I could not wait until it was my turn to experience the milestones that signified my senior year. When I hear the phrase 2020, I associate it with the phrase perfect vision. This perfect vision of 2020 is what initially inspired my design for our class banner, which can be seen by the 2020 appearing inside the pair of glasses. However, the meaning behind this design has changed quite significantly since the beginning of the year. Initially, it symbolized our perfect vision of 2020 that we all thought we would soon achieve, after enduring many challenges throughout high school. But looking back now, I think it is obvious that our perfect vision of 2020 just never happened for our class. I don't know about you, but my 2020 began with what could have been a life-threatening car accident. We then saw our world shaken by the tragic loss of Kobe Bryant, among many others who were also on that plane. and soon after, we had to watch the absolutely disgraceful murder of George Floyd in Minneapolis. And then, of course, I'm sure I don't have to remind anyone about the global pandemic that has shaped our school year most significantly. I think it's safe to say we all collectively felt like everything was falling apart out of our control in times of great uncertainty. Our 2020 vision was getting distorted by adversity that for a while I thought would be what defined us, which was an idea that I found hard to cope with. I reflected on this for a while, eventually concluding that even though our year has been nothing close to what we expected, our class knows how to find the silver lining of a bad situation. 2020 may not have been what we envisioned, but maybe it is what we needed to become stronger in ourselves. As humans, we can spend so much time trying to figure out why certain things happen to us, but in reality, we are not the ones in control. Accepting that is hard, but in reality, but once we do, it is easy to see that our perfect 2020 vision may not have been what we all wanted and were expecting, but it may have been what we needed to strengthen us and grow our positive mindset, which will ultimately help us to change our world for the better. Now, when I look at this banner, I no longer see a shattered version of our 2020 vision. I see adversity that will now help us to understand the world in a new and powerful light and encourage us to use our voices to fight for positive change in our world. Our 2020 is not about having perfect vision, but clear vision to create a positive change in this world.
Thank you, Macy. Your thoughtfulness when creating this banner brings great pride to the class of 2020. The class banner will join previous classes hanging in the cafeteria for future generations of students to admire. To rise to the top of the class as talented as the class of 2020 is a significant distinction. The two members of the class who will address you this evening are very deserving of their honor and place in the class. They have both worked exceptionally hard in all their subjects, and their achievements speak for themselves. It is my honor to present the class of 2020 Salutatorian, Emily Ankowitz, daughter of Carl Ankowitz and Gwendolyn Ankowitz of Mountaintop. Emily, please come to the podium.
Good evening, Mr. Kleinheiter, Mr. Husker, Mr. Vincent, Reverend Berger, faculty and staff, parents, family and friends, and my fellow graduates. I would like to thank each and every one of you for joining me in my class as we celebrate the long-awaited and anticipated graduation of the class of 2020. It is said that life is a culmination of the growth you are able to attain through experience. Each and every circumstance we face provides us with an opportunity to master a new skill that will guide us along in our journey. My fellow classmates, today I want to remind you of one single skill that can never simply be taught to an individual, but must be mastered over the course of one's life. It is one that we cannot choose to learn, but are forced to when we find ourselves living in a state of our lives that we cannot just simply accept. It is one that is practiced when we feel so broken inside that our only option is to change, to seek to be better, to fulfill more of ourselves than we know we have, but simply don't know how to. We as a class have experienced adversity, together and apart from one another. This present moment would not bring a sense of accomplishment if we had not faced adversity to be standing here. The past 4 months have shown us that none of us will be immune to adversity throughout our lives, and our failure to persevere through it will not allow us to become what we wish to become or achieve what we wish to achieve. Most of us have had the mindset that our generation has been destined to a life of adversity because the world around us has been shaken by suffering in such a detrimental time of our own lives. But I challenge you to alter that perception. What positive change is to be made in a world that is already devoid of flaws? It is within the flaws that there is an opportunity for change, for success amongst the failure. I challenge you to find the flaws within the way you live your own life, Find your flaws. Find the flaws in the world around you and recognize that they will never restrict you. They simply create an opportunity to practice the most important skill of all, how to persevere through adversity. Sometimes we fail to understand the place adversity holds within our lives. We fail to understand the power it has in bringing us what we actually want because our minds are clouded by the things it has stripped from us. Sometimes we experience so much failure that we believe we are destined to fail as individuals. It is how we react to the final denial of what we become that tests our internal strength as people. We can either view our failure as a reason to simply give up and move on, or use it as motivation to fail until we are able to find the strength within our setbacks. Remember that your setbacks led you to the evolved version of who you are today, where you are today, what you accomplished today. Live each day as an evolved version of who you were yesterday, but never in comparison to those around you. Because truly, the only valid comparison in life is the one between who you are today and who you were yesterday. Always remember that the most powerful motivation is often disguised by hardship, by frustration, and is often followed by the thought that simply giving up is your only option. It's ironic that incredible success rarely comes out of words of encouragement, but out of the fear that failure could be in control of the fate of our hopes and dreams. Possibly the most unknown fact about life is not the impact of the people or places we will encounter, but what stays within us as we travel along our journey. The things we face along the way are merely guides that lead us to discover who we actually are as people. There will be plenty of people that come and go along your journey, but what will not leave you is the imprint they leave within you. Whether they bring inspiration, wisdom, happiness, sadness, or a difficult lesson along with them, each and every one leads you to the path you're meant to take and the person you're meant to be. Looking around, I see 27 other individuals who have been a part of my life and have left an imprint on the way I will continue to live my life. And I truly hope you can say the same. Today, we leave this chapter of our journey behind us. We say goodbye to familiar people and places to welcome the inevitable changes of life. While you may fear these changes now, it is important in finding comfort in knowing that they will always trace back to where your journey began. The past is simply where you grow from, the reason you learn to be better, and a part of the reason the future can withhold the happiness you strive for. As humans, we place an expectation on our life to bring us the fulfillment of happiness, and we fear that without it, we won't ever feel as if we lived the life we truly wanted to live. The danger in that expectation is that personal happiness will never be handed to us. We won't wake up one day and realize that we suddenly have everything we've been waiting for right in front of us. It is the gradual changes, the daily growth, the frustration, the life lessons that slowly allow us to become capable of experiencing true happiness. More importantly, our lives don't begin on the day we feel as if we're capable of being happy. It begins when we learn that happiness resides within us and our journey and not what surrounds it. The only thing that can possibly be known about life is that it is constantly bound to change. We will all experience the highs and lows of that evolution, but not all of us will find the room to grow through our struggles. It is easy to stay positive when everything seems to be going your way, and it's easy to believe you are truly successful when you have everything you've ever wanted, but never had to come to the realization that you lost everything that kept you going to get there. What's not as easy is accepting that you'll never truly be successful until you overcome a moment in time in which you feel as if you've lost everything you've worked for, dreamed of, and had. It is within those moments that you are forced to challenge yourself to grow, to learn, and to discover the strength you have hidden within yourself. Never be afraid of what is undiscovered about yourself or your journey, because discovering what was once unable to be discovered is a success within itself. As you move forward with your lives, bring the strength you've gained from the adversity of your past with you, but never the weight of it. Allow your mind to operate from its imagination of the future, but never solely its memory of the past. Your past merely contains the blueprint for what your imagination can withhold. Embody it, find strength within it, but never let it restrict you. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily. At this time, it is my honor to present the valedictorian of the class of 2020, Benjamin Putnam. Ben is the son of Benjamin and Andrea Putnam of Sugarloaf. Ben, please come forward.
Good evening, Mr. Kleinheider, Mr. Husker, Mr. Vincent, Reverend Berger, faculty and staff, parents, family and friends, and my fellow graduates. This year has been a roller coaster. I don't think any one of us can deny that. In fact, this whole class's high school career has been a roller coaster. A class of firsts. First freshman orientation 2.0, first senior freshman bonfire, first 7th grade class to be in the middle school soccer team, first class to walk into Old Main freshman year, first class to have a virtual graduation. All of these things have been formative moments in our lives, but events do not define us. These past 4 months have been crazy, but I refuse to let this year alone shape my life. Of course, we'll be the class that survived 2020, a label that we'll be able to look back on and say, yeah, I handled that to the best of my ability. But all things aside, the college class of 2024 will be entering a new world in the fall. One that everyone will have to adjust to and make a difference in. Despite the situation we find ourselves in today, there is always something funny that can be drawn out of the blue. Take a look at our senior shirts, for example, with the Friends font on it saying the one where we graduate. This whole thing reminds me of an episode of Friends. You know, like Ross and Rachel, our relationship at school ended when we were on a break. And even though the school year didn't end up in the most ideal situation, at least we didn't have to sizzle like bacon freshman year. And we are graduating in the most friends-like way, wearing tuxes and gowns in the middle of the summer. I wouldn't have it any other way. Throughout my 6 years at MMI, I've learned so much aside from the class material and extracurriculars just by hearing what everyone else had to say. In a world where it's increasingly easy to speak what you have to say, sometimes the most important thing is to listen and keep an open mind. I learned from Mrs. Oakham that it's not always fun and games, even if it is a world of pure imagination. And it's all in the recovery. Rev taught me that just because something isn't new doesn't mean it isn't amazing to learn about. The teachers at MMI have so much to offer, and I'm so grateful to have met every single one of them. Albert Einstein once said, "The value of an education is not the learning of many facts, but the training of the mind to think something that cannot be learned from textbooks." MMI's teachers have what it takes to help us think outside the box. I remember some class periods where we didn't learn a single thing about the subject we were in, but that's okay, because some things are more valuable than knowing the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell, or the defenestration of Prague happened on May 23rd, 1618. I'm really glad that teachers go off on tangents sometimes because it shows that they care about more than just what we're supposed to spit back out at the end of the year. They don't want us to make the same mistakes they did going through life, in hopes that we'll have better ones. I've made plenty of mistakes, and to be quite honest, I hope I make a lot more. Mistakes force us to grow as people, and I certainly have a lot more growing to do. I remember a long time ago when I was like 8 or 9, I was doing something with my dad. What we were doing isn't really important, but I remember saying, "I can't do it," in the most whiny voice an 8 or 9-year-old would have. And to that, my dad replied, "Stop saying that. Stop saying you can't every single time." I didn't understand why at the time. Sorry. But now I think I realize the effect that it had on me. Okay, thank you. He wanted me to have a positive attitude towards everything I did. He never wanted me to give up. I would not be where I am today if it were not for my dad. Sorry. Because I've always done what I love, no matter what anybody else thought about it. If you know me or if you don't, I always loved school. I got to wake up and say, yeah, I get to go to school and see all my friends and learn amazing things and eat some great food, you know? Like penne Alfredo and roasted broccoli, which, by the way, was the best meal. You cannot change my mind about that. So, my advice to you, class of 2020, is to find something you love and do it every day. Even if it's just something small, like reading a book, or eating penne Alfredo and roasted broccoli. The great theoretical physicist Richard Feynman once said, "I'm smart enough to know that I'm dumb." Even the man who invented the representation of subatomic particles didn't know everything. He always stayed humble, despite his worldwide contributions to our understanding of the universe. He's the kind of guy that makes me say, when I grow up, I want to be like him. His book, Surely You're Joking, Mr. Feynman, details all of the mischief he has as a kid all the way up to his adulthood. I read it recently, and I realized how much fun everything can be. And that when you start to take enjoyment in the little things in life, you can live a truly happy and fulfilled life. Sorry. In a few weeks, all of us will be moving on to bigger and better things, and I cannot wait. But with new stages in your life come new challenges. Of course, you will always have your family and friends back home, along with the new family and friends you make along your way. But there will also be people that always doubt or underestimate you. Obviously, those people are so much different. It's funny, because your first instinct would just be to avoid them completely, but I suggest doing the opposite. Keep them in your life. Those people are important too. Those people give you just as good a reason to succeed as the people who are rooting for you. So show everybody what you can really do, the lovers and the haters. So, class of 2020, I propose a challenge. Even though 2020 has been the shortest, longest year we've lived through, I believe we've all learned something about the world, about the people we love, or about ourselves. In my quarantine, I didn't learn to bake bread or learn the latest TikTok dances, but I did enjoy watching one of my favorite childhood cartoons, Avatar: The Last Airbender. For a kids' show, it tackled so many grown-up topics that are still relevant today: hope, discrimination, self-acceptance, and dozens more. In one episode, an old man said to his nephew, "It is important to draw wisdom from many different places. If you take it from only one place, it becomes rigid and stale." If you have any free time this summer, I seriously recommend watching that show. So, my challenge to you is to draw wisdom from not just many places, the places that nobody would expect. It could be the smallest flower, or the tallest skyscraper, or the darkest night, or the brightest sunrise. But just know there is wisdom, knowledge, and understanding in everything. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben, for your heartfelt words. Those were really inspiring. Unlike this microphone that I cannot possibly get to do what I would like. Okay, we're going to improvise like most of this year. This class has earned many awards and received numerous recognition previously, but tonight we present 3 of our most prestigious honors. As a reminder to our students who are winning awards tonight, the awards are on the table behind me. If you could come around, pick up your award, and then pose for a picture for anyone who would like to take it up front, that would be great. And then return to your seat. The Joseph A. Tchaikovsky Award from Class of 48 Memorial Prize for Mathematics and Science is awarded to the member of the Class of 2020 who has the highest grade point average in math and science throughout their 4 years of upper school experience. The award is named for a distinguished alumnus of MMI who studied engineering at Penn State and was an outstanding professional engineer. The award was founded in the memory of Joseph A. Tchaikovsky by his daughter, Mrs. Lisa Tchaikovsky Merlot, MMI class of 1980, and a member of the MMI Board of Directors until her unexpected and untimely passing 2.5 years ago. The Joseph A. Tchaikovsky Class of 48 Memorial Prize for Mathematics and Science is presented to Benjamin Putnam. Ben, please come forward. I think I've got it now. It's fine with me. Just wanted to stay there. Yep, we're good. Thanks, Ben. The Freeland Rotary Club established the Rotary Service Above Self Award to recognize and acknowledge a young person who, by his or her actions, has personified the Rotary motto of service above self in their school and community. It's one of the 2 awards selected by the MMI faculty. The 2020 Rotary Service Above Self Award goes to Andrelli Puntiel. Andrelli is the daughter of Pedro Puntiel of Bergenfield, New Jersey, and Yesenia and Jose Rivera of Hazleton. Andrelli, please come forward. The Faculty Award is presented to the student who displays basic goodness and honesty while being a good example for their peers in his or her own way. The student is emotionally mature and treats others with empathy, compassion, and concern. The selected student displays qualities of humility, wholesomeness, and industry. The entire faculty selects the recipient from a number of worthy candidates. This year's honoree represents the ideals of this award. I present the 2020 Faculty Award to Benjamin Putnam. I would call your attention to the program, which lists the additional honors and awards and recognitions earned by this class of 2020. Special recognition to all seniors earning a place in honors societies this year. This accomplishment reflects the hard work of students, parents, and teachers on the path of lifelong learning. Congratulations to our newest Honor Society members. The program also contains a list of college acceptances and scholarships earned by the class of 2020. Congratulations to all of our award and scholarship recipients. And now it is time to hear from the president of the class of 2020. This position carries the high responsibility of leadership and tactful diplomacy in helping the class navigate their final year at MMI. It's my pleasure to introduce Kai Meal, son of Michael and Lori Meal of Jim Thorpe.
Good evening, Mr. Kleinheider, Mr. Husker, Mr. Dreyfus, who sadly couldn't be here today, Mr. Vincent, Reverend Berriger, faculty and staff, parents, family and friends, and fellow graduates. We rarely truly appreciate the experience we have until they become distant memories we look back on. And while I could focus on our recent hardships tonight, it is a celebration, and I think it's more appropriate to reminisce about the good times we shared. It is a time to appreciate and acknowledge our differences, experiences, and endeavors. Understanding and accepting one another will serve us well on our individual paths, as none of us can realize our dreams in isolation. This is a night to spread the message of love and peace to classmates, friends, and family, and to reinforce our unbreakable bond. As we move forward, let's take a few minutes to look back on the values we lived, learned, and earned throughout our time together. As I congratulate my recently graduated class of 2020, I hope my words create a fond new memory from the experiences that live in my heart. The class of 2020 began with 16 sixth graders, a group so small that we had every class together. It was a time when zipper ties and clip-ons were a lifesaver for the boys on gym days. You could rent a pair of sneakers from Mrs. Medvecki for a quarter, long before Christian sneakers were available to borrow. Those of you who have been here since middle school will remember all the stories Rev shared with us in his limitless memory bank of wisdom. The excitement of going to the bowling alley during clubs period, all the times we felt liberated going outside early during lunch to play tag, and the constant competitive Clash of Clans grind. I remember when I pulled the fire alarm after school by accident. Probably the most terrifying experience of my life, but a valuable lesson in ownership, responsibility, and taking and consequences for my mistakes. Over the years, our tiny class grew into our family of 28 diverse and talented individuals, each of whom have made an impact on my life, and I'm grateful for the memories that we've created together. I use the word family to describe our class because ultimately, that is what we are, and not without our fair share of problems. We're a band of misfits at times, but a family nonetheless. A family that I will never abandon, betray, or forget. When you look back at our time together, you realize we had a lot to learn about adapting. Arguably, Generation Z is dubbed technologically dependent, so in some odd way, the students were probably better prepared to handle education in a global pandemic. And no doubt our teachers did their fair share of adapting too. Change has been no stranger to us over the years. We've seen 4 different heads of school, 2 different lunch systems, 3 different core teachers, numerous class schedule forms, and countless other changes throughout the school. Some obstacles were a lot more difficult to overcome than others, especially the removal of our precious cafeteria vending machine. But they kept us on our toes. Whether we realize it or not, our experiences helped us be more resilient, understanding, and appreciative in a time filled with uncertainty. Undoubtedly, we will continue to benefit from our experiences as they provide hindsight for guidance. We can always look back at the memories we shared, both good and bad, and remember that we are changed, we are experienced, and we persevered. I can say with certainty that each one of you will remember and be thankful for some of the passionate individuals who ultimately have helped plot our course. Mr. Garvey, always making our day brighter with the daily sunset time report. Mrs. Spencer, who even though I haven't had personally as a teacher, has reignited my love for Avatar. We'll always remember Mrs. Zuko, who made learning history always fun and enjoyable and feel new, even though it was already written and already happened. Mr. V, who was always remarkably on time. Mrs. Molinaro, for constantly supplying us with mints and engaging us with mandatory conversations after lunch. Mrs. Mastardis, who gave the German class some of the greatest field trips of our lives. My father, Mr. Meal, who has always been there for our class to lean on in times of need, and of course my mother, Mrs. Meal, who has always done her best to make a comfortable and welcoming environment for all the students at MMI. We also can't forget about our diligent homeroom advisors who dealt with us to the very end. Mrs. Titus and her endless passion for literature, especially comic book heroes, and Miss McHale, who was always there for us with her bright, welcoming smile. Thank you, too, to Mr. Kleinheider. I know your first year here was challenging on so many levels. We know how hard you worked to make sure we could be here tonight, and I would like to thank you for that. On a more personal level, I'd also like to thank Mr. Parati for never giving up on me even when I felt beyond lost in AP Calc, and Mr. J for introducing me and welcoming me to the baseball team in middle school. Even though baseball wasn't my thing, he helped build an experience that I'll always remember and appreciate. Thank you to every member of the faculty and administration who played an important role in our lives, our education, and our upbringing. And finally, I'd like to thank Andrelli for at times being a better class president than I was. You helped me organize and direct our class on a level that I wouldn't have been able to, and for that, I wanted to make sure how much you truly knew how much I appreciated your help and admired your patience. So, as our experiences became memories, our memories then became stories that we'll always be able to share. We'll count on those memories to teach others the meaning of the word family. In closing remarks, I'd like to say to my extended family, I love you all and wish you all the successes you put forth the effort on. Thank you for the memories, and remember to stay healthy, stay positive, but most importantly, keep being you. I believe our greatest asset lies in our ability to add to our family and to break boundaries. Let's never forget that while those plotting and piloting our courses and steering our ship will undoubtedly change, I challenge you to look back on where you've come from. There are no waves on the horizon, but the wake we create will affect everything it touches. Acknowledge your impact and realize the value of your moments long before they become memories. One of my favorite expressions, coined by Charles V, and more importantly by one of my favorite fictional characters, implores we all go further beyond. It's an easy expression to remember, and hopefully one that highlights your college experience. So, in Charles V's and All Might's words, plus ultra, congratulations to the MMI graduating class of 2020.
Thank you, Kai, for your words and your leadership this year. Now we've come to the part of the ceremony that seniors have been waiting for, the awarding of the diplomas. Mr. Husker and I certified to the MMI Board of Directors on May 28, 2020, that the members of the class before you met all the requirements of the graduation. These qualified and worthy individuals will now receive their MMI diploma with all the privileges and responsibilities pertaining thereto. I invite Mr. Justin Vincent, Academic Dean, to the podium and ask Mr. Husker to join me up front to present the diplomas and congratulate these students.
Laith Abdul Rahman. Laith will attend King's College, where he will major in biology. Laith was a member of the National Honor Society, MMI Envirothon Team, MMI Interact Club, the MMI Varsity Basketball Team, and the MMI Varsity Soccer Team. Emily R. Ankowitz. Emily will attend Bucknell University, where she will major in finance. Emily was the class of 2020 Salutatorian, class treasurer, member of the National Honor Society, president of Mu Alpha Theta, the Math National Honor Society, treasurer for both Spanish National Honor Society and Science National Honor Society. She was a member of the MMI Future Business Leaders of America, where she earned a top place at the state level competition and will compete at the virtual national competition. Emily was secretary of the MMI Interact Club, editor of the MMI Literary Magazine, and stage and tech crew member of the MMI Prepper Playhouse. She was a member of the MMI Varsity Tennis Team and has participated in the Pennsylvania Junior Academy of Science. Emily is a graduate of the Junior Leadership Wilkes-Barre program, attended the Pennsylvania Free Enterprise Week, and participated in the Rotary Youth Leadership Award program. Elias Zachary Bachman. Elias will attend Luzerne County Community College, where he will major in automotive technology. He was a member of the National Honor Society, the vice president of the German National Honor Society. Kalan Adelita Blasco. Callie will be attending Penn State University, where she will major in computer science. Callie was a member of the MMI Prepper Playhouse Scenery and Stage Crew. Brandon Crockford. Brandon will attend Penn State University, where he will major in psychology. Brandon was a member of the MMI Interact Club, MMI Maker Club, and MMI Varsity Baseball Team. Jessica Meredith Flynn. Jess is attending the University of Pittsburgh, where she will major in computer science. Jess was a member of the National Honor Society and the Science National Honor Society, vice president of the Chinese National Honor Society, and treasurer of Mu Alpha Theta. She was president of the MMI Interact Club and member of MMI FBLA and the MMI Drama Club Stage Crew. Jessica was captain of the MMI Varsity Volleyball Team and the MMI Cheer Squad. Carter Jacob Frask. Carter will be attending Penn State University, where he will major in psychology. Carter was a member of the National Honor Society, MMI FBLA, MMI Mock Trial, and Student Council class representative. He was also a member of MMI Varsity Soccer and MMI Varsity Baseball. Joshua Robert Galbiati. Josh will attend Shippensburg University, where he will major in business administration. Josh was a member of the MMI Envirothon team and the National German Honor Society. Alexander James Jordan. AJ will continue his academic and baseball career at Marywood University, where he will be a biology pre-professional major. AJ was a member of the National Honor Society, the Science National Honor Society, Mu Alpha Theta, and president of the National German Honor Society. He was a student council representative, a member of MMI FBLA and MMI Envirothon team. AJ was a member of the MMI Varsity Golf, MMI Varsity Basketball, and was captain of the MMI Varsity Baseball team. Madison Lee Hornack.
Maddie will attend Wilkes University, where she will major in psychology. Maddie was a member of the National Honor Society and Secretary Historian of the Chinese National Honor Society. She was a member of the MMI Yearbook, MMI FBLA, and varsity softball. Maddie was a 6-year member of the MMI Prepper Playhouse stage crew and Prepper Playhouse stage manager. Marcus Daniel Casick. Marcus will attend Harvard University, where he is an undecided in his major. Marcus was a member of the National Honor Society, Science National Honor Society, and Mu Alpha Theta. He was a student council class representative, a member of the MMI FBLA, and contributor to the MMI Literary Magazine. Marcus was a member of MMI Varsity Soccer, MMI Varsity Basketball, MMI Varsity Baseball, and a member of the MMI Work Study Team. Harrison Lewis Kress. Harry will attend Drexel University, where he will major in sports business. Harry was a member of the National Honor Society, vice president of the Science National Honor Society, and vice president of the Spanish National Honor Society. He was a member of the MMI chapter of Future Business Leaders of America and member of the MMI JV and varsity basketball teams. Ryan Francis Halterman. Ryan will attend Penn State University, where he will major in physical therapy. Ryan was a member of the National Honor Society, Mu Alpha Theta, the Science National Honor Society, and the National German Honor Society. Catherine Christine Hivrilla. Kat will attend Wilkes University, where she will major in business with a pre-law track. Kat was a member of the National Honor Society, the Science National Honor Society, and treasurer of the Chinese National Honor Society. She was a member of MMI PJAS, MMI FBLA, and the MMI Prepper Playhouse as stage crew and performer. Paige Madison Mikulski. Paige will attend Rochester Institute of Technology, where she will major in computer science. Paige was a member of the National Honor Society, Science National Honor Society, German National Honor Society, and Mu Alpha Theta. She was a member of MMI FBLA, MMI Envirothon, and the MMI Prepper Playhouse. Kai Michael Meal. Kai will attend the University of Pittsburgh, where he will be majoring in bioengineering. He will also be enlisting in the United States Air Force through the University of Pittsburgh's AFROTC Detachment 730. Kai was the senior class president, member of the National Honor Society, secretary of the Science National Honor Society, member of the German National Honor Society, secretary of Mu Alpha Theta. Kai was a member of MMI FBLA, MMI Envirothon, MMI PJAS, and MMI Interact Club. He was captain of the varsity soccer team and member of MMI Cross Country. Josiah Daniel Pacchioli. Josiah will attend Virginia Technical Institute, where he will major in electrical trade. Josiah was a member of the National Honor Society and the Science National Honor Society. He was an MMI Student Council class representative, member of the MMI mock trial team, and stage manager for MMI Upper School Drama Club and MMI Prepper Playhouse. Josiah was a member of the MMI varsity soccer team and the MMI varsity tennis team. Catherine Ann Pinto. Catherine will attend Penn State University, where she is undecided in her major. Catherine was a member of the National Honor Society, the Science National Honor Society, MMI FBLA, MMI PJAS, and MMI Mock Trial. She participated in MMI Poetry Out Loud, MMI Interact Club, and was chair of the prom committee. Catherine was captain of the MMI varsity tennis team, manager of the MMI boys varsity basketball team, and a member of MMI varsity softball. Andrelli Puntiel. Andrelli will attend Farley Dickinson University, where she will major in business administration, international business. Andrelli was the vice president of the class of 2020, member of the National Honor Society, president of the Spanish National Honor Society, and member of the Science National Honor Society. She was president of MMI FBLA, editor of the MMI Writing Lab, and member of the MMI Prom Committee. Andrelli was captain of the varsity volleyball team and manager of the MMI boys varsity basketball team. Joshua Michael Sirach. Josh will attend Penn State University, where he will major in biomedical engineering. Josh was a member of the National Honor Society, MMI FBLA, and MMI Varsity Soccer. Josue Rafael Rodriguez. Josue will attend the University of Pittsburgh, where he will major in biology with a pre-medicine concentration. Josue was a member of the National Honor Society, the Science National Honor Society, the Chinese National Honor Society, Mu Alpha Theta, and MMI FBLA. He was a member of the MMI varsity basketball team and MMI varsity soccer. Maya Ann Rizkala. Maya will attend Penn State University. She is undecided in her major. Maya was a member of the National Honor Society and the Science National Honor Society. She was editor of the MMI Literary Magazine, member of MMI Envirothon, and manager of the MMI Boys Varsity Basketball Team. Benjamin Alfred Putnam. Ben will attend Lafayette College, where he will major in physics and minor in Chinese. Ben is valedictorian of the class of 2020. He was a member of the National Honor Society, president of the Science National Honor Society, co-president of the Chinese National Honor Society, and member of Mu Alpha Theta. He was a member of MMI PJAS, MMI FBLA, MMI Envirothon, and MMI Poetry Out Loud. Ben was a member of the MMI Upper School Drama Club and the MMI Prepper Playhouse, and qualified to attend the Pennsylvania Music Educator Association District and Regional Orchestra Festivals. Ben was a member of MMI Varsity Tennis, the captain of the MMI Varsity Soccer team. We'd also like to congratulate Ben on earning the rank of Eagle Scout. Hugh Armani Soltel. Hugh will attend Bloomsburg University, where he will major in psychology. Hugh is president of the MMI Student Council, a member of the National Honor Society, MMI FBLA, MMI Interact Club, MMI PJAS, and MMI Upper School Drama Club stage crew. Adam Tron. Adam will attend Penn State University, where he will major in political science with a pre-law concentration. Adam is secretary of the senior class and a member of the National Honor Society, Spanish National Honor Society, Science National Honor Society, and historian of Mu Alpha Theta. He is vice president of the MMI Interact Club and editor of the MMI Literary Magazine, and secretary of MMI FBLA. Adam is a member of the MMI FBLA Club, where he earned a top place at the state level competition and will compete at the virtual national competition. He participated in MMI Poetry Out Loud, MMI Upper School Drama Club, and is a 6-year member of the MMI Prepper Playhouse. Grant Adam Warren. Grant will attend Bloomsburg University, where he will major in digital forensics. Grant was a member of the National Honor Society, Spanish National Honor Society, and the Science National Honor Society. He was a member of the MMI Envirothon team and the MMI Chamber Ensemble. Grant played MMI varsity soccer and MMI varsity baseball. Christian John Yamula. Christian will attend Drexel University, where he will major in sports communication. Christian was vice president of the MMI Student Council, member of the National Honor Society, and the Science National Honor Society. He was host of Poetry Out Loud and participated in the MMI Literary Magazine and MMI FBLA. Christian was a medalist for MMI Varsity Golf and played MMI Varsity Soccer. He was captain of the MMI Varsity Baseball team. Macy Ann Sainer. Macy will attend the University of Pittsburgh, where she will major in film and media production. Macy was a member of the National Honor Society, co-president of the Chinese National Honor Society, member of the Science National Honor Society, vice president of Mu Alpha Theta, and president of the National Art Honor Society. Macy was art director for MMI Prepper Playhouse and editor-in-chief of the MMI Literary Magazine. She was a board member of the Can Do Student Action Committee, participated in the Rotary Youth Leadership Conference, and trained at the International Student Leadership Institute.
Congratulations, class of 2020. And remember that I still need to give you the signal to toss your caps at the end of the ceremony. I now invite Mr. Husker and my class of 1976 and 2019-2020 chairman of the board of directors back to the podium for the alma mater.
Thank you, Mr. Kleinheider. So I just want to say first that something occurred to me as I was listening to these incredibly touching, funny, and powerful speeches and hearing the incredible accomplishments of each and every member of the class of 2020. And what I'm about to say, I suspect all of you as families and our faculty and staff know all too well. And that is that you have come through this experience stronger, more confident in your own resiliency, and with optimism for the future. And I'd just like to ask you to join the rest of us in giving you one more round of applause for the very inspiring class that you are. And now I'd like to ask you all to stand. The class of 2020. Sorry, just the class of 2020 here. Nobody else. Class of 2020. Now I'd like to ask any MMI alumni who are in the audience to also stand. And I know we have a few. Thank you. So, MMI class of 2020. All of us standing now, and those alumni who are watching at home, represent 141 years of MMI graduates. Now and for the rest of your lives, you are alumni of MMI. The MMI alumni community includes 1,939 living graduates worldwide. They are accomplished men and women who represent some of the highest standards of conduct and achievement. They can be an invaluable resource to you from this day forward. On behalf of the MMI alumni present and those around the world, I welcome you as MMI alumni. And at this time, I'd like to ask everyone to rise as we direct our attention to the stage where 2020 alumna Catherine Havrilla will sing the alma mater.
Thank you again, Catherine. That was wonderful. Before we conclude, I have a few thank yous. We thank Reverend Berger for joining us tonight and his great words to our graduates. I thank Mr. Husker and the entire board of directors for their support tonight and throughout the year. A big thank you to the maintenance staff and senior staff for organizing and setting up graduation. We went through at least 4 different scenarios, and I probably changed course no less than 2,020 times. I couldn't be more grateful for their guidance and contributions tonight, especially Joanne Oakham, executive assistant to the head of school and commencement guru, who reimagined the entire event for us. So a big thank you to them. Before I ask our graduates to toss their caps in the air, I want to explain how our recessional will be a little bit different this year. Instead of a receiving line to recognize our graduates, we will dismiss by graduate and family group. As your family name is called, please make your way to the lobby where a gift is waiting for the graduate from the MMI Parents Association. I ask everyone to remain seated until your family name has been called. All right, you ready? It's now my honor to present the MMI class of 2020. Toss your caps. All right, you can please feel free to cheer as we dismiss each senior and their family. You can be seated, guys. The Abdul Rahman family. The Ankowitz family. The Bachman family. The Blasco family. The Crockford family. The Flynn family. The Frask family. The Galbiati family. The Halterman family. The Havrilla family. The Hornack family. The Jordan family. The Casick family. The Crest family group. The Mikulski family group. The Meals. The Pacquioli family group. The Pinto family. Puntiel family. Putnam family. The Rizgala family. The Rodriguez family. The Sirach family. Soltau. The Tron family. The Warren family. The Yamula family. I should have gone in reverse alphabetical order. Macy, the Zahner family.